I got a question.
To swear the new board members in. Okay? So everything will be fine. I ask you to please refrain from interrupting the meeting. It is a long agenda. There is time at the end of the meeting to have your comments. And I also ask you to please try to refrain from having your own personal conversations, because there's been complaints that people in the front or the side can't hear what statements are being made.
And mute phones.
Pardon me?
Mute our phones. Every noise that we make out there comes up is recorded here, and it's really hard for her to listen to.
So we are going to start right out with a couple little things on old business, which is the approval of the minutes. Everybody is here with the exception of Art Moore and Greg Lyman. Everyone else is here. So we're going to start out right away with the approval of the minutes. Did everybody read the minutes?
Yes.
And so if everybody read them, may we have a motion or any questions?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I second.
Sharon made a motion, Jerry seconded. The second part is the approval of the treasurer's report. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm just got a lot on my mind, I'm sorry. Any nays? Okay, the second thing is the approval of the treasurer's report. Yes, Sharon.
Okay. Our balances are capital improvements. We transferred. We had an extra 100,000. We're building up our reserve. So we transferred 100,000 into capital improvements. So we have $195,165.12. The district reserve, this is something that has to be there all the time, so it's all the same other than gathering interest. We have $14,238.10. Our fire fund checking, we have $5,000. Fire fund savings, we just barely received. I deposited one check, and then we've received another check that we'll deposit. We received $230,995.39. So we have $388,917.55 in our fire fund savings. Fundraising account, we have $18,306.72. Snow fund, emergency fund. This is one that when we've had excess, we've transferred into this fund, so that if we have another snowmageddon, if we really have a problem, we have something to go back on, and we do not have to borrow money. We're not going to borrow money. Pay $3,000 to borrow money for a couple of months. Just doesn't make sense. So we have, in that account, we have $125,326.29. The snow fund, I deposited $266,923.63. So we have $316,971.10 for a total of $1,063,924.88. So we are doing good, and we are debt free.
Not quite.
No, we've got one check. Yeah, I think it was sent in. It was sent in for our bond. We are totally debt free. Yes. And we'll hopefully keep it that way. So anyway, anybody have any questions on the treasury report?
Sharon, you've still got 75,000 to deposit.
Oh, right, yeah. They just barely came in. So I'll deposit those Monday or Tuesday. We have just a couple of days once we receive them to get them in. So we're doing really, really good.
I've got one question.
Yes.
Have we received all the tax levy for the year?
No, we will receive. It used to be that in the beginning of the year they would give us everything that was assessed, but they don't do that anymore because they were going in the hole. And we have like 75-80% is all that we collect on. There are a lot that, Doug?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. In addition to that, there were 2 subdivisions that weren't billed in the tax notice by mistake. And so as the assessor's office gets those out, the treasurer's office gets those bills out, then there'll be additional money from those subdivisions.
Right. And then through the year, we continue to receive checks as people pay their taxes. We need some more chairs. So anyway, any more questions? Okay. Do we have a motion? Go ahead. That's you.
Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Also move.
Someone like to second it? Jim.
Vote. Vote.
Yes, I will. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Treasurer's report passes. Now, Greg is not here. Can you give us anything on the district clerk's report? It says up until the end of December.
Yeah.
And everybody should have a copy of
Kind
that.
of looking through it last night. I'm trying to remember what he normally does. It just,
Wait till the noise settles.
yeah.
please.
Oh, yes.
And everybody's fine, is coming in fine.
We need to find our other machine. This is a wonderful turnout. I would like to take time to thank you all for showing interest. We could really use this support all year long. This is a special occasion, but we'd love to have you here all year long, as many times as you can. We
Everybody
really
sign.
appreciate it. Okay.
Go ahead. Are you through?
Okay, his is kind of the same, just tells about where we collected, what checks came in. And then in the back, did we pass these out? We probably
They're on the table.
They're on the table, okay. It just shows in the back, it shows all checks that were written, who to, for what. This report compares bank balance to bank budget remaining that can be spent. It also shows what monies are anticipated to be collected in December. Anyway, I think that's about it.
Does the board have any questions on the district clerk's report? Can we have a motion to accept the district clerk's report? Jim makes a motion. Someone like to second it?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion has passed. The next item, and I am trying to hurry through here because, like I said, I know we have new board members that are sitting here patiently waiting to be sworn in, and so we're going to make this real fast. The next item is the chief's report. I have been asked to give the chief's report, and I have passed out to all the board members.
Is that extra?
Yes.
I didn't get one.
I have passed this out to all board members for them to read last night, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on the chief's report. And basically, and the chief does send his apology. He's in training in St. George, and he really would like to have been here. They have moved Engine 71 to Elkridge to free up a bay for the Forest Service. And the winch project for Engine 70 is nearing completion. They have it set on there and what have you. I think they're waiting for some wiring, but it is operational. That part I do know. They've added stabilizer to Engine 72, 74, and 71, and they have accepted 3 new applications. 2 of them are for volunteer firefighters. They are our chief's sons and his wife, who also is going to be helping him in any secretarial and doing volunteer things during the summer. He has, the firefighters participated in 15 hours of training since his last report. Training included ground ladder operation, pose evolutions. Also, he has ordered new T-shirts. They are, and he will distribute them as he wants. He wanted to start out with new T-shirts with an emblem on the side, as he felt that he was the new chief and he wanted things to be different and new. And so the old T-shirts that anybody has are not recognized as part of the fire department any longer. He's also requested, they're very small items, and they're items that will help make his job and his volunteers' job better. I think they're called hydrant covers and a swivel thing that goes on the hose. It's not that much money, and so I don't feel like we should have to vote on it. I feel like he should be able to just go ahead and order what he needs to make his job better.
Yeah, it's under 1,000.
And it's going to be under $1,000. Also, he has made up a little form because he feels that all volunteers should have a physical. They have made contact with the Cedar City Clinic, and will be sending people a couple at a time to go in and have this physical. It's to protect the volunteer, and it's to protect the fire department. I know most of you have always heard that someone's had a physical and then they do something and they would happen to pass out or keel over. I hate to use that word, but you know, what was wrong with them. So it's just a minor physical, and all the board members, once again, right now, and I'll give it to the new ones, will have a copy of what that entails. That is pretty much all we have to say for old business. Okay? The other part is, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead here. The other part is on the tower. We discussed the tower last night, and Commissioner Heaton suggested that we get a hold of the building committee, or the building person in Kanab, to get a permit to put the tower up. They've tried to call. They're not getting any response back. Pardon me?
Okay, yeah, she should be really easy to get a hold of. I'm wondering if you have right now.
I don't know. I personally have called anybody in the county, and I've not had a problem. That's me personally, but I just know that they called. That we are looking into, that does need to be taken care of. The tower has sat out there for 2 years. We've had to have it. We had to have it right away. So we got it right away, and now it's sat out there for 2 years. It needs to be put up. Commissioner Heaton stated that they didn't put it up because they needed the FCC permission. But Commissioner Heaton stated that it is for emergency use, and we need to have it up so we can use it. If there is a problem, if we put it up and there is a problem, Commissioner Heaton has guaranteed that he will find out
You
about
want
it.
me to put that in my words so you don't get me in trouble?
Yes. I was just thinking.
On that tower, I think the biggest thing is that the footing that we have right now isn't sufficient for the additional height. So we have to put a new footing in.
Right. Go ahead.
It takes a long time sometimes to get FCC approval, and I understand that there was a hang-up with the Forest Service as well. But as a county commission, we're responsible for health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. And I will go to bat with the Forest Service and with the FCC if necessary to get what you need done, because this is a health, safety, welfare issue, and to wait 3 or 4 or 5 years for an approval from a federal agency just makes no sense in this case. I think I'm not afraid to have that conversation. And I would just recommend that, but you do need to go through the process with county land use and get your permit to put the tower up.
Right. And we'll wait until the new board gets
Yeah.
sworn in here, and I will ask or see if someone would like to take that challenge on. Like I said, I personally have never had a problem calling anyone in the county. Maybe they know my name and go, oh my God. I don't know. Okay? The other part is info on road parking signs, and that is Jim Barbeau and Commissioner Heaton. And we discussed this last night also on, and it was decided that if there is people, not decided, but we did discuss it, if people are parking in the roads when they're plowing, you cannot park in the county roads. We know this. And if people are parking on the county roads, rather than have 500 people calling the Kane County Sheriff's Office, it would go to, well, at this time, it's Jim Barbeau is your snow person. It would go to him. He's not like in charge of the contractors doing the snow removal. He's just making sure that the hydrants are cleaned and they're out there. So if there's anybody parking in the road, then they need to, at this time, call Jim. Jim will call the sheriff's office. Sheriff is not too thrilled about giving everybody tickets. I don't think they want to have a bad name of being the bad guy all the time, but they will go and see the people. Yes, sir.
I think, just so you understand, the sheriff's office, it's a difficult situation because people don't have sometimes the ability, they drive up from down south, they don't have the ability to get into the driveway, but they need to make those arrangements before they come because it's just putting, parking the vehicle in the roadway, particularly when there's a snowbank and we have confined conditions, it just doesn't work. If the snowplow does come by, it's going to bury the car up, and then it's going to be extremely hard to get out. But worse than that is that the snowplow quite frequently just can't go by. And so I think the sheriff's office's attitude will be, we'll remind you, but if it becomes a persistent problem, then we'll resort to either towing the car or issuing fines. So it's something that we can't allow to just continue. But we realize there's a mental conditioning process as we go into the thing, especially for people who are new in mountain. And we're here to help.
And we also discussed last night too, possibly even if there's a snowstorm, if we do get a snowstorm, going through Everbridge and notifying the people on this mountain to make sure that they don't park in the roads.
The Everbridge will contact people regardless of where they are. If they're in Las Vegas, if they're in Los Angeles.
Right.
If they will sign up, it'll notify them of weather issues, of any bulletins that this department or the county sheriff wants to put out. So we can draw a circle around
Right.
any group of homes, any subdivision, or you can make a circle of what's just any confirmation. You just draw it on the map, and the Everbridge system will notify the people inside your line. So it works really well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Madam Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
You, in your power
Power
and
bill and water bill.
you've just received brochures about Everbridge. It's easy to sign up. You can sign up your kids, your grandmother, a dozen different things. It's really great. But please sign up, talk to your neighbors, make sure. We can't get this information out if it's not on. And like 14, if 14 is blocked, we can send a message out to everybody. So if you're coming from Vegas, from California, wherever, you're not going to come all the way to Cedar and to the canyon and then realize you've got to go all the way back. So really, really, really stress signing up for that.
And Everbridge has worked.
Yes.
And it doesn't cost us anything. Well, it probably does in the long run, but it does work well. Go ahead, Frank.
Just to settle out on what Sharon said, do all of you know what Everbridge is? I'm not saying everybody not, which is what we expect. I'll call it advertising for that has not gotten to everybody. Everbridge is an emergency notification system that the county instituted a year and a half or so ago. It's free for you to sign up. It takes about 5 minutes was all it took for me. You can get to it from the county website, kanecounty.utah.gov, I think, or just search for Kane County, Utah, and it'll take you to the website. And there's an icon there that says Everbridge. Just click on that, and you can sign up for Everbridge. Minimal information, but you can be notified either by email, text, phone call. You will dial several phone numbers if you want to. So you can be notified just about any way you want to be about things that are occurring up here. It's an emergency notification system. However, we're changing it a little bit to meet our needs a little better, and we're going to have the fire chief as one of the administrators who can talk to Alan Aldrich, who is the county guru on Everbridge, so that when there are incidents unique to the mountain, we can notify everybody about that, and provide administrative things similar to this the snow plowing issue. Having vehicles parked on roadways causes two issues. One is you can't plow snow effectively when you got vehicles on there, and some of the roads are so narrow that the plows can't even get by if you've got a vehicle parked there. But I would submit to you that even more important than that is emergency response vehicles cannot get by. And if it's snow covered, you all know how narrow the cleared path is typically. Try to get a fire engine or an ambulance turned around in the snow because somebody's blocked the road and we don't know about it. And we get there and now we got to back downhill on an ice-covered road because we can't turn around. Not the safest situation. So I would encourage you to, talk to your neighbors, get everybody's attention on this so that we don't continue to have the problem. We talked about some initiatives last night that we're going to pursue also, but word of mouth is one of the better ways to do that. So please encourage your neighbors not to park on the roads and to sign up for Everbridge, because that can be a great way for us to pass information to everybody. Thank you.
And as I stated, there was being in a different organization, you will get it, or your family member, whoever you sign up, will get it by text, they will get it by phone, they will get it by email. And sometimes you sit there and go, I got the message, enough. But it is very, very good. So, okay, we kind of ran that one in the ground. That was all. I think it is time for our new board members, wherever they are. I think they need to come up and be sworn in by our wonderful County Commissioner, Doug Heaton. So if they, yeah, I got you covered. I got your back.
Mr. Commissioner, I'd like to be re-sworn.
Yes.
And I would like.
Anyone who was involved in the last election was elected. Yes.
And I would like to introduce all the new board members that are coming on. First of all, it is Mr. Frank Gagliardi, Charles Breckler, my gosh, Mike Spatullo, and Jay Wilhelm. These are your new board members that have been elected.
Most room. Can we put them all right here?
You can put them any place you want.
All right. I imagine the newspaper is going to want to be. Is that you?
No.
Some of these, I thought maybe she would.
I'll stay.
Okay, so I'm going to, you will repeat after me. Raise your right arm to the square. And after the word I, you will say your name. So I, Frank Gagliardi. Okay? Ready? I,
Frank Gagliardi.
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the great state of Utah
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, now let's make room for you.
At this time,
Mike?
thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate all you've done. I want to thank Art Moore, and I want to thank Greg Lyman for all they have done. And I'll move
I'll
over.
scoot over. There's a, okay. Do we need more seats down there?
There's room. There's room. Thank you again, Jerry, for your 4 years you put in. Okay, at this time, still being that I'm chairing, we are going to ask for nominations for officers. And so, kind of have at it. Whoever wants to make a nomination, your first nomination would be for chairman.
I would nominate Mike Vitullo for chairman.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Yeah,
I
hold
will.
of them.
I will.
I believe it's 5.
Jim, do you want to give your vote verbally, please?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I would recommend that you close nominations before you vote. In other words, if there's anybody else who wants to nominate somebody else.
Okay, okay. Are there any other nominations?
Point of order. Does the community at large have the opportunity to?
I'm sorry, John. There's no other nominations?
Move to close the nomination.
Right. Now, can we poll the board, please?
Well, you only got one. It's automatically in.
Well,
No.
Still have to.
Yeah.
Jake?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Frank?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to move over here? I hate to keep moving you around.
Yeah, I'll trade you. Oh, I got all this stuff.
Okay.
Who's that? There you go. I got too much junk.
Congratulations. At this time, we're going to open up the nominations again for the position of vice chair.
I nominate Chuck Breckler.
There's a nomination on the floor for Chuck Breckler, and it's been seconded. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Sharon.
Okay, we have a nomination for Sharon. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been seconded. So is there any other nominations? This is for vice chair.
Decline.
Well, I'll ask.
I move the nominations be closed.
There's a move to close nominations. Has it been seconded?
I'll second it.
It's been seconded. I think before we take a vote, we should ask Chuck Breckler and Sharon if they accept the nomination.
I would accept it.
I would decline. Respectfully.
So we probably should take a vote then for Chuck. Poll the board, starting with Jim.
You only got one, yay?
Yay.
Yes. Yay.
Yes,
Yay.
Nay.
the motion carries. Chuck is the vice chair. Congratulations, Chuck. We'll open up the nomination process for the position of district clerk.
I would nominate Frank Gagliardi.
There's a nomination for Frank
I'll
Gagliardi.
second that.
There's been a second. Are there any other nominations? If there isn't, can somebody close the
Ask
nominations?
3 times.
I'll close the nomination.
I'm sorry?
Ask 3 times. Robert's rules.
The nominations are closed. Frank, you accept?
I'll accept.
Okay, we'll poll the board.
Yay.
Yes. I will decline voting.
You abstain?
I'm not sure.
You got 3 people left. All we need is 1 more.
I'll abstain.
Yes?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay, Frank, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think.
Appreciate it. You still need treasurer.
Yep. Okay, we're going to open up the nomination process again for the position of treasurer.
I nominate Sharon.
Sharon's been nominated. Are there any other nominations? There's been seconded. Any other nominations?
And I think close the nominations.
You want to make a motion to close the nominations? There's no other nominations? Okay, motion to close the nominations, has that been seconded?
Second it.
It's been seconded, we'll poll the board. Sharon, you accept?
Yay.
I will accept.
Yay.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yay.
It's unanimous, Sharon is the new treasurer.
New old.
Thank you all for volunteering.
Mr. Chair, before we proceed, may I request something?
Yes.
I think I've noticed a cake over there. I've never been one to turn down food. I recommend that we take a quick break so that all of these folks who may not want to sit here through the minutia of all the board actions can partake of some of the cake.
Okay, this isn't something that we typically do, but because there's such a large number of people, and I know there's a lot of people that don't want to turn down the cake, we will recess the monthly meeting, the January 11th meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Cedar Mountain Fire Protection District at 10:35 hours, and we will resume at 10:50 hours. We'll give it about 15 minutes. At that point, we'll reconvene the meeting and we'll start going through the agenda. There's a number of things on the agenda, but most of them are administrative in nature, and it shouldn't take that long. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. Meeting is in recess.
Oh, let's see, right here.
Yes.
Okay, it's 10:50 hours on January 11th, 2014. We are back in session of the Cedar Mountain Fire Protection District Administrative Control Board monthly meeting. All members are present, and we will now move into our new business agenda items. And the first agenda item, it's actually number 3 on the agenda, is Robert's Rules of Order. It appeared in the past couple of years or so that this board has gotten away from Robert's Rules of Order. And before I go any further, if you're not familiar with it, Robert's Rules of Order was created in the British Parliament back in the late 1800s and in the U.S. House of Representatives around the same time. And basically all it is, it's a book that gives structure and format to a meeting. So there's not a lot of people just speaking out, monopolizing the conversation, and not allowing the other board members to speak. What I would like to do is present from the Charter, in Article 8, Paragraph 4, we have a small paragraph on Robert's Rules. And it says, unless otherwise specified by law, All meetings of the governing board and all business presented and conducted at such meetings shall be conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order. Notwithstanding Robert's Rules of Order, the governing board may relax or alter said rules, identify those rules which apply and those which don't, and conduct the business of the district accordingly. In all cases, the chairman shall retain the right to suspend Robert's rules if in his judgment or her judgment, discussion of the topic would be furthered thereby. So what I would like to propose to the board from this point forward, that we alter somewhat Robert's Rules of Orders, because if you read this book, it's really very strict. But what I would like to see, and I hope the rest of you would agree, that whosever name is on the agenda, for example, my name is on the agenda for this, is allowed to present their case for that agenda item. And then we can either go around the room to each board member and they can provide their input, or we can have some kind of a method where you signal the chairman or something, and then you're recognized and you can speak your piece. What should happen in Robert's Rules, and I think that we should maintain that decorum, is that once someone has given their opinion, they shouldn't speak again until the rest of the board has allowed to provide their input, thereby giving everybody a chance to speak, which it appeared that was not always the case in the past. So I'm throwing this forward to the board to do either method. I can either call on people and go around the room and everybody give their opinion as to what the topic is on the agenda, or you can wave your hand, throw a piece of paper at me, do something that gives my attention to you, and I'll acknowledge you, and then you can give your feelings on the topic. Which would you prefer to do? Jim? We'll start on the left, if that's okay. We'll just go around.
Either way.
I prefer just to go around.
Go around. I think I would prefer to go by acknowledgement because if you just go around the table, the topic may not have been addressed the way that Jim has a question to it, perhaps. So if we do it by acknowledgement, then as people develop questions, they can ask for the floor.
Good point.
I would prefer just raising the hand.
I would prefer acknowledgement also,
So we seem to have a 3 against 3.
Well, I changed mine. That sounds really good.
I think that the acknowledgement thing works better, and not necessarily raise your hand, but get my attention somehow, so that one person can finish speaking and then someone else can provide their input to the issue. Along with that, before we go, we don't need to vote on this because it's already in the charter, so we should have been doing that to begin with. Before I go on, we won't do it today because of the long agenda and they're mostly administrative type things. But this is also, I'm throwing this up to the board. In the future, we can try for each topic at some point, if a member of the public has a comment, not to get into a discussion with the public, that we allow the comment to be brought into whatever the topic is. So that could be considered when we go for a vote. Is that something you want to do?
That's what I'd like to see done, yes, but I would also like to, or would appreciate a limit be put on it, that maybe the audience gets together, choose somebody to speak on their behalf, and they get 5 minutes.
Oh, that's too long.
5 minutes is a long time. I think 1 minute.
1 minute?
Personally, I don't know what everybody else feels like.
Then limit that they cannot be called upon again until after everybody else has had a chance.
The same process, yes, I see it. The same process that we're using for the board. Once you provide your input, you don't speak again until everyone else has had a chance to speak. Same with the public? Commissioner Heaton?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we received some training on this particular topic that I think is germane to this topic. And Ed, you can jump in here. Our county attorney, as he taught this, technically to receive input from the public requires a public meeting. I mean, a
Public hearing.
public
Public
hearing.
hearing.
Right, and it really is illegal to receive public from the input from the public outside of a public hearing. So if you start that process, then you lose control of the meeting because you have to give equal time to everybody else that wants to speak. I recommend the county commission has a comment period, either at the beginning or at the end of the meeting. That's when they'll accept comment. He told me it's actually a misdemeanor to violate that law. Now, that offended me quite a bit. I just share that with you so that you'll know that the law is designed to protect the board from a public that really can get really out of hand. And so I suggest that you take a look at your process. I think for me, it's extremely important to have public input. But we capsulated that public input. At the beginning of the meeting, the person who comes has usually looked at the agenda. They know what's about to happen, and they have a pretty good idea. They have a chance at the beginning of that meeting to tell us how they feel. And that comment is usually accepted without response, okay? It's the board's object to hear it. It's not the board's object it shouldn't be the board's place to try and defend a position or something like that. Don't get in that trap. If you do, I suggest that it will probably cause a lot of problems. So if you want to accept comment, but I wouldn't try to defend a position or make a response to a comment. I just say thanks for your comment, appreciate the input. And they have done all that they can do, and you've done all that you can do, and then you can move forward. But I would suggest that you encapsulate that portion in some part of the meeting and declare that open. And then close that portion and then do the business of the board within the board. Ed, am I wrong?
Well, I've never been that paranoid about it. But the balance is the question. If you, prior commission, famous for just ignoring the public, and it did not go well. And yet, if it becomes a free-for-all, you don't get anything done. And so we typically had a public comment period at the end. But this idea, I've actually seen this idea work. Well, planning commission just the other night, they go to a public comment portion, and they have somebody, Wednesday night, they had a member of the public. We got a comment, and he had a speech, and he made his speech, but it was not dialogued. It wasn't debated. It was just listened to. And then thank you very much, and then you go on with your business. There is real merit to that.
Yes.
So go ahead.
No, Pat had a comment.
I was just going to mention that, and I also have seen this happen, and you have a meeting where the public is giving their opinion and you're going back and forth. I believe this board is elected to make the decisions for this fire department. And the public certainly is welcome to give their comments, and we have tried to keep it at the end. I believe our position is to make decisions, unless it is a public hearing.
Again, we're not going to, do you have something to say?
Well, I like the idea of like a 1 minute max comment at the beginning, because if we've already made all of our, if at the bottom, we've already made all of our votes, but very quick. And if they continue to vote.
Just a quick comment. For those of you that do not get the Southern Utah News, there is an interesting article on page 1, and I get it electronically, so if you do that, you get it a day before it comes out, hard copy. And it has to do with the Kanab City Council. And there's a picture of Mayor Houston on there with Attorney Berghoff, I don't want to butcher his name, and the other gentlemen that were just elected to the Kanab City Council. And one of the comments in the article is that city council, before this article apparently, was allowing comments at the beginning. I know some people think that that's a good idea too. In the article, it says that they have found difficulties with doing that. So, and it seems like the board members that have spoken here and the attorney, along with Commissioner Heaton, feel that it would be good if we allow public comment, but again, they're comments, and we can limit it to a minute or whatever we want. But that way, I feel that you as the public, and I think the board agrees, that we all feel at least that the public is allowed to at least make some comment regarding whatever topic we're talking about, and then we, as a board, makes that decision. That's what you were saying? No?
What I was suggesting was that you set aside a comment period and actually open the meeting for public comment and then close that public comment period. The county commission does it all at the beginning. If you want to do it on each topic, that would work. Your meetings will tend to stretch a little bit without public comment on every issue.
That's why we have Ed here.
I stretch them anyway.
Yeah, I know that. Okay, like I said, we're not going to do that today, but it's something we'll consider for the next meeting, and everyone can give it some thought, and we can discuss it.
Mike, I'll get you some input on that. I'll just
Okay.
see where
Thank you. Okay, so we're doing the Roberts rules. I think we've all agreed to what we're going to do. The next topic on the agenda is monthly meeting dates for the coming year, which we're bound to do by, and because my name is on there and Sharon, and you just heard enough of me, we're going to give Sharon the floor.
Now, the reason my name is on all of these is they were not sworn in, so it had to be put under a board member that was currently on, and I got the phone call. So that's why my name's on all of them. Okay, unless there's any dates. Do we have a calendar? You've got a calendar. Okay, so we've got, and you've got one of these.
No.
Okay. Well, you can, do you want to check them out? Okay, February 8th. Is there anything on that date? We have to hurry and make some copies of this.
Sharon, those are all the second Saturday of the month.
Oh, these are all the second Saturday, and that's the way it has been, and that's the way it will be, is the second Saturday of the month. So February 8th, is there anything? Okay, March 8th? Clear. April 12th?
Clear.
May 10th?
Clear.
June 14th?
Clear.
July 12th?
My fingers aren't working. The 12th clear.
Okay, August 9th?
Clear.
September 13th?
Clear.
October 11th?
Clear, except that Monday is Columbus Day. It's a national holiday. Does that make any difference?
I didn't think it would.
I don't have a problem. Does anybody else
These are on Saturday.
have a problem?
Okay.
Okay. And December 13th?
When is it for November?
November?
8th.
8th.
Clear.
I'll make a copy of it.
Okay.
Okay.
And the
All right.
13th of December?
Okay.
Do we need a motion to approve those dates?
Yeah, probably along with the time, unless you want to do them separately.
I think we can do. I would move that we accept the second Saturday of every month at 10 o'clock unless otherwise later on modified for the monthly meeting of this board.
I would second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. It's been seconded.
I'd like to propose an amendment that the time be changed to 9.
Right now, the motion that's on the table, Chuck, is to accept the second Saturday of the month that the dates just announced at the meeting, and it has been seconded, so hold it.
I thought he included the time in.
I did. As
Oh,
a
I'm
point of
sorry.
order, I'll withdraw the motion so we can discuss changing
Okay.
the time.
I'd like to see the meetings held earlier, so that
Okay, hold your thought for a minute. We need a motion to accept the meeting dates as the second Saturday of the month for the dates that were just announced.
Also motion.
There's a motion on the table by Sharon.
I'll second the motion.
It's been seconded by Jay to accept the dates just announced as the monthly meeting dates, which is the second Saturday of every month, barring unforeseen circumstances, emergencies, or such. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Now,
I'd like to discuss moving the meetings till 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning to get them started earlier so that we can get done hopefully by 11.
okay, there's a motion, there's a sub announcement to this that involves the time of the meeting, and Chuck is proposing that we move the meeting times from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Comment?
Anybody have a comment?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
I like 10. We've had it at 9:30. It gives people that are coming from around the area time to get here. That extra half hour even has been really good. I like 10 o'clock.
Okay, Pat?
I also agree with Sharon at 10 o'clock because I know that we are on Utah time, but there are people that live in Las Vegas that would like to come to these meetings, and they get a little off on their times from Vegas time to here, so I prefer 10 o'clock. That's just my opinion.
Jay?
I would prefer the 9 o'clock for the simple fact that if we start a meeting at 10, that precludes that secludes the people that are of the Catholic religion that attend their faith here on the mountain to not being present at the meeting. So we're precluding a group of people. They have to make a choice whether they want to drive to fulfill their religious obligations at another time or be here at this meeting. So I would move we go to 9 o'clock.
You have a comment? Or are we voting? We need a motion. I guess we're going to need a motion. We're going to need a motion to
I'd move
change the meeting time from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m., and we'll see if it passes.
I'd move that we move the meeting times from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to move the meeting time from 10 to 9. Is it seconded?
I would second it.
It's seconded. Let's, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed?
Okay, we're going to have to poll the board. We'll start with Jim and go around the table.
Nay.
Yay.
Yay.
Aye.
God, it's a tough one. I don't want to stop people from... I like 9, but... I like 10, but I'll say nay. I'll say yay.
Nay.
What time does church start?
11.
Well, we probably might not be through till then anyway. Past then.
I haven't voted. I have no preference to 9 or 10. I can see both sides of it. Folks from Las Vegas that are coming up, you got to start at .30 to get here for 9 o'clock. Actually, the same applies if it starts at 10, because they were an hour behind us. So my wife is in that position right now. She left her house at 6 a.m. Las Vegas time, and still isn't here. I'll abstain, because I have no preference on either time. Is it a tie vote?
No, it's 4-2.
Well, Sharon, what is your vote? You went back and forth.
Mine was yay,
To change it?
to change it. I don't want to change it, but I don't want to stop people. Can we
You already
discuss?
voted, right?
I voted.
What's the voting tally?
We have 4 yays and 2 nays.
Well, the motion passes.
I don't think we'll get through till 11 anyway.
The motion passes, so the meeting time for the monthly meetings will now be at 9 a.m. And again, the meeting dates are the second Saturday of every month, unless an emergency arises. The vote was 42. Moving on to the next item is the UASD training, which is the Utah Association of Special Districts that Every board member is required to take yearly, and it's the chairman's responsibility to ensure that every board member takes the training. Just so everyone's aware, because I don't know if all of the board members are aware, we can either have LeGrand Bitter, who is the Executive Director of the Utah Association of Special Districts, schedule a time and come down here and conduct the training live, or the board members have the option of going online to the Utah State Auditor's website, do a couple of clicks on that webpage, the little manual comes up, which is the same manual LeGrand uses to conduct the class with, and you can take a test and you have to get, I believe it's 75, you got to get 18 out of 24 correct, and that satisfies the requirement. So I will open this up for discussion.
I think it's always better to have live training if you can. I would recommend that we so schedule with the option for folks that can't make the live training to do it online.
I agree with that. Rather have live training.
Yeah, you can ask questions. It's so much more effective.
Anybody have any feelings as to live or online?
I agree with the live because there are a lot of questions that you sometimes want to ask LeGrand, and those that can't make it, as you stated, they can take it online.
Online. No, I'm sorry. Ask LeGrand to come.
Okay, well, it appears, this isn't, I don't think something we have to vote on, but it appears that the majority of the members present would prefer live training, having LeGrand actually come down here to conduct the training. So I believe that there is a tentative date, if I'm, yes?
Yes, just tentative.
Of January 21st, which is a Tuesday. It's the Tuesday after Martin Luther King.
What time is that?
Whatever time you ask them to come usually, isn't it?
Well,
It's tentatively
Tentative.
set for 6 o'clock, 6 p.m.
What was the case in the past, the last time I was here, is we would conduct the training at 6 o'clock in the evening, the day before the monthly meeting for that month. That's not etched in stone. And I don't know if he's available.
I was going to say the last couple of years, his schedule, his calendar fills up really fast. I actually called him last December to make sure we got on it early.
Okay.
So it really depends on his calendar.
Here's a thought. Everyone submit at least 2 dates when they're available to receive the training from LeGrand. And then Betty has graciously volunteered to contact LeGrand and present these dates to him because he's the key component in this. It's got to be when he's available. And he is available on January 21st. I myself am not available that day. However, I've done the training online. In fact, I have my certificate here that I'll give to you after the meeting.
Does it have to be done every year?
Every year it has to be done because statutes change. A lot of the material stays the same, but he does have good information. So is that agreeable to everybody? Give Betty a couple of dates, 2 or 3, when you're available, and hopefully some of the dates will match.
Mr. Chairman, could I please have the dates by the end of the meeting due to I am supposed to call
Yes.
LeGrand Monday?
Yes,
Thank you.
by the end of the meeting.
Is this dates other than the 21st or?
It can be the
including
21st if you like.
Okay, 21st works for me.
Any day,
Jim?
Any day.
Okay.
I was going to say any date, but there was something that came up also, just to mention this. Last night, that Commissioner Heaton stated that the county would like to come for that
That's-
training, and that date was mentioned, the 21st or 22nd.
Training for UASD or training for the other?
County.
This would be county training, correlation training.
Specific.
Between the county, yeah, we had a little apply on the tax collections, and there's some things that we need to understand.
I was kind of hoping you guys would forget about that since I live in Elk Ridge, but I can see that you're not going to.
Not gonna happen, sir.
Nice try.
Are you a little more flexible in the Grand?
They can come during the day or in the evening, either one. We could actually do it in conjunction with and just do it after. I don't think our training will be very long.
Could we perhaps do that right before next month's work meeting?
Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. The county training I have is item 11 for starters, but we can talk about it now because there's a possibility of doing it in conjunction, is what I'm hearing.
As you wish.
Now, who won't be here? You won't be here, Wilhelm won't be here.
I don't,
I need at least 30 days. When you ask me for a date, I need at least 30 days to give you that date.
it's not a big deal. If you can't be here for the live training, take it online.
I was just thinking our meeting after.
There's no requirement there that if you fail twice, for example, that you can't pass go and you can't collect $200. You just keep taking the test and you pass it.
They're probably not going to fire us.
That's right. Yeah, you look at that.
Don't.
And if anyone, you've been to the website, so you know where it is, Jay.
I've taken it.
So if anyone else prefers to take it online, they could either contact Jay or myself, and I'll give you the steps how to get there. And you can see the little manual that's right there that he passes out at the live training, and you read the manual, then you take the test.
My concern was the meeting after with the state, with the county.
I think, okay, is it okay to move to item 11?
I would.
Well, before we do that, may I?
Yes.
If you two have already taken the UASD training online and the rest of us are all available, why don't we schedule a date that we know LeGrand is available, the 21st of January, for the rest of us to get the training? Is that
You can do that.
acceptable for
And the
everybody?
county is
And then if the county can,
the
if we
same day.
decide that the county training can be at the same time, before or after, then we can do everything in one day.
I think we should have these two there if possible. Can we go till February?
I had planned on going to the training, even though it was online. I don't know if Jay was. I just can't go on the 21st.
Yeah.
What about Friday before February meeting?
Well, that's why I was suggesting a couple of dates
Yeah.
that we'll submit to him. I mean, because he's the key component. He's got to be available, whether it's February 21st or February 7th or June, like I was going to say.
The county's flexible.
I had assumed that
We can come, I need some time to get with Carla and Georgia and make sure that they can come as well, but just give me the dates, we'll work something out.
I had assumed that they were going to come during the day, during their work day.
During the day or during the evening.
Says their boss.
I'll make a motion that we table items 5 and 11 until the last 15, at which time we can decide on the two dates to give to Betty, and that way the county is aware of what two dates we have to work with, and we hope that LeGrand Bidder has those openings.
So,
Items 5 and 11, just table them to the end of the new business.
we can do that. We don't need a motion for that, I don't think. We'll just table that.
Privilege motion, it's your call.
It's a privilege motion. We'll wait until the end of the meeting. Let's move on, get some of this other stuff out of the way. The next item on the agenda is number 6. And I guess I'll do this one, even though Sharon's name is there. The item is ICS 100, and for those of you who don't know, that's Incident Command System, and NIMS, which is National Incident Management System 700 training. Back in 2006, it was resolution number 2005-005. There was a resolution passed by the board in office at the time that says that the Cedar Mountain Fire Protection District to qualify for federal grants and other funding, it's necessary for the district to adopt NIMS training. That was signed by Chuck Breckler, who at the time was the chairman, and Pat Mern, I think, Richard Mern. Dick Mern was the secretary that signed it. In doing some research, because over the years since the implementation of the NIMS plan, it's changed several times. It was in effect, I believe, in 2006, and then they changed it in 2008. Well, this is 2011, September of 2011, and I highlighted on the main, in the introduction of the plan's about 85 pages long. It says it's important to note that although a state, tribal, or local government or non-governmental agency is not required to apply for federal grant assistance, Homeland Security Presidential Directive Number 5, and that was signed by President Bush right after 9/11, requires federal departments and agencies to make adoption of the NIMS by state, tribal, and local governments and non-government agencies a condition for federal preparedness assistance through grants, contracts, and other activities. That was in the introduction. When you go further into that document, that 80-page document, and you go to the NIMS core curriculum section, the basic requirement for elected officials, which we all are, is to take NIMS 100 and 700. And if you're not familiar with that, there is no requirement to retake it. So at some point in your illustrious career, you have taken that training, you're good. There are some folks that you work for that do require training after like 5 years, although incident command system hasn't changed in 30 years.
It's
Basically,
very little.
very little. So we don't have a requirement within the district that you have to retake the training. So what I would request of the board, because I know most of us have had that training, is to bring a certificate that says you've had the training, and Betty will create files for each one of us, and we'll put that certificate in there, which authorizes us to apply for federal grants, which we've been doing right along anyway. And it shouldn't be that difficult to get your certificate. If you don't know how to get it, you can speak to me offline, and I'll kind of explain to you how to get to the FEMA.gov website, and you got to press some buttons and that kind of thing, but you can request certificates right from FEMA back in Emmitsburg at the training academy. So for right now, there's a graph here, and I'll pass this around to the board because I don't want to make all these copies. There are 5 types of incidents as defined by NIMS, with 1 being the highest and 5 being the lowest. And if you look at this table, 4 and 5 are the ones that we actually have in this district, maybe a 3 every once in a blue moon. But the requirements for that are 100 and 700. Is that agreeable to the board? I think. Anybody disagree? Cool. Which way do you want to go? This way? Or after? Yeah. Item 7 on the agenda is verbatim minutes. And this is a bone of contention with a lot of folks. I guess I'll speak to this because it's me, Sharon and I again. Prior to 2012, the district was keeping verbatim minutes, which for some of the meetings, if you've been around that long and you looked at them on the website, sometimes they got quite wordy. 80 or 90 pages worth of minutes. On the other hand, in the last couple of years, and part of this has to do with the fact that we don't have someone to transcribe the minutes from the tape recorder to verbatim minutes on paper. They have been keeping minutes that don't give you a lot of information. And some people feel that's okay, and some people feel that it isn't okay. Keep in mind that we live in a district that has 200, give or take, residents that vote up here, and we have about 4,000 people, give or take, that have seasonal homes up here. And we're responsible to all of them, even though only 200 people vote. The other 4,000 need information to be protected and that sort of thing too. In researching, doing some research online for technologies that allow us to record the minutes and they're moved over to a computer and typed out, I don't find any. There is no technology because people speak differently. Some people speak in a loud voice, some people speak in a soft voice, and so on and so forth. The only technology that I found that would remotely fit our needs is something called Dragon. And it's a computer software that you load onto a computer. You put the headset on, you dictate to the computer, and the computer types it out. Unfortunately, that doesn't work at a public meeting because you got 7 people talking, plus if we allow public comment. What someone would have to do is we'd have to record the minutes, someone would have to sit there and listen to the tape, and then repeat what they're hearing on the tape so that it gets transcribed onto paper. There's the option of hiring someone to do this. It gets quite expensive from the places that I've looked at online to do that. And those are about the 2 options we have. I'll let Jay, I think, is going to talk about an option that he has. Keep in mind that, I lost my train of thought. Well, I guess I'll say it afterwards. I'll open it up for board discussion on verbatim minutes versus what we've been doing in the past. Pat.
The verbatim minutes, first of all, I believe there is a program, there was one program that we already have with Dragon, but it's true, you have to repeat everything that's said. I believe there is another program out there that will automatically dictate what is being said, but as you stated, you get different voices, you get different comments. I do not know, and I don't believe the county even does it, or any other entity that has minutes verbatim. It's usually whatever on the agenda, the motions made, and what have you. We have allowed people to come in and listen to the minutes, but 60, 70 pages of minutes to me is ridiculous. I mean, if people want to hear what's going on, then they should attend the meetings or come and listen to the tape if they don't want to. Then they are allowed to do that. I'm just saying, I do not know of any entity that gives minutes word for word, except for the motions made. That's my comment.
Let me finish my thought, and then Sharon is up next. The other thought with that verbatim minutes versus doing what the board has done in the past is that I'm hoping by following Robert's rules and allowing board members to speak, and then they sort of zip it until the rest of the board has spoken. We're not going to get into this 80 and 90 pages because there won't be that much dialogue as there was in the past. That was my other thought. Sharon?
I agree.
Do you have something?
I know the people coming in and listening to the minutes takes a lot of Betty's time. She only has 4 hours a day. I would like to see verbatim if we can figure it out, get someone to transcribe them. Maybe it doesn't have to be every word that is said, but you look at our minutes and there's a lot of discussion that's not in there. When I used to I'd read the CMAC minutes. You had no clue what was being said, what was being decided. I was on the board for a while. There's a lot of people. Verbatim minutes stop a lot of gossip, stop a lot of stories going around, is my feeling. But cut down a little bit.
Mr. Chairman,
Good job.
there are some programs, they're quite expensive, I believe, but a number of the courts are using them now. It's true that you have to watch the screen as people are talking and annotate it. But many of the district courts in Las Vegas, for example, have been using it for a number of years. And within an hour after the court session is over, the attorneys can get verbatim transcripts of what happened that day. But basically, the district clerk is responsible for the minutes. I suggest that the district clerk investigate what is available and make that decision.
Frank, I think that's you.
I disagree.
You sat there so quiet through the whole thing. I was like, wait a minute. I will continue.
I quit.
You can't quit. I will continue investigating and help Frank on that. And you're right, there is software out there that does that. The issue is, because of the way people speak, the minutes still have to be proofread by someone, and those things corrected before they can be published. And it is expensive. That's why I said there just isn't a technology that does it that is going to make this an easy thing to do.
And somebody scraping a chair.
Right, all those
Making a noise
noises
is
are
gonna
picked up, and
offset
that
it.
it's a messy adventure.
Mr. Chairman? In this venue, I spoke to Linda Hartley, the previous board secretary, and asked her, in the event that we couldn't find what we needed, would she, in the interim, fill in and dictate these minutes for us. She said she would. She couldn't make it here today, but I believe that's an option in the interim until we figure something out. Also, as far as verbatim versus synoptic minutes, there are a lot of people that cannot make it for whatever that reason may be. And so to be able to read a verbatim minute and talk to your neighbor, I read it, this is exactly what they said, versus a synoptic minute, I believe for our public is much more transparent, has much more value for the public.
Did she give an amount in the
I told her if
discussion?
she wanted to haggle, she would have to haggle with the board. I was not in a position to make that decision.
Okay, we have two more board members that haven't given their input. Now remember, we're following Robert's rules, so I'll slap your hand there. You've already given your input. What's your feelings, Jim?
I think it's just a lot of money and a lot of reading. I don't know.
So you would prefer to go with
I prefer to go
what's in
back
place
and
now?
put a little bit more into what we've been doing. To get every word, just like all this laughing and stuff, that would be in there too. So, if you go with verbatim, it's just so many. I remember when they used to do it, 85 pages on some of this stuff.
But again, the meetings, and I'm speaking out of turn, the meetings were conducted where people were just speaking up, as we seem to be falling back into that. We need to keep the meeting on task, formal, everybody gets to speak. There won't be as much verbiage. Seeing as the other one is going to be looking up this technology, you haven't spoken yet.
I disagree completely then. No, I think openness with the public is critical. And I think, rumors and things get started because of inaccuracies being just distributed or misinterpretations, perhaps, of what was said being repeated. So I think that verbatim is a good thing, but that said, cost is an issue here, and I think it's got to be cost effective. The product that we got to put out, that we want to put out, the cost has to be appropriate for the benefit that you receive from that. Otherwise, we shouldn't do it. One other option that I'll look at that I see is we're required by state law to have audio recordings available to the public within 3 days of the meeting. Perhaps our website has the ability for us to just upload those audio recordings to the website so that whoever wants to see or hear the verbatimness, new word, write that down, can so do. And then we aren't requiring people to read however many pages. We aren't spending a lot of money that might not give us the cost effectiveness that we're looking at, but we give people the option of not only knowing the words, but hearing the inflections and experiencing the emotion that might be involved in any of these things. So I throw that out. I'll look at that, and
when you research it.
I hate to say I'll report back to the board. So my thoughts.
Is there any more discussion, general discussion about verbatim versus what we're doing now?
I've got one thought. If you do verbatim transcriptions, it'll be the only public body that I'm aware of that does. Okay? From not speaking county level and lower. It's something that we picked up on because Linda was here and she was a medical transcriptionist, and so she started doing them that way. Otherwise, I'm not aware of that ever being done. So, but you know, all these thoughts are fine and legitimate, but understand that you're out there offering something that nobody else does. So.
I believe, and I can't swear to it, that when you look at the statutes about meetings to minutes, minutes of meetings,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be complete enough so that John Smith down in Las Vegas, who owns a cabin up here, is able to understand what the discussion was for any particular topic. I'm not saying verbatim, but there has to be more meat. That's where I'm going with this, is there has to be a happy medium about what we were doing before and what we're doing now, that someone that can't attend the meeting and can't get up here to look at the recording could at least get an idea of what's going on. Or Frank's idea is great. If there's some way to put it on the website, then we don't have to worry about transcribing the minutes, because we can just put it on the website, and you want to listen to it, go ahead and do it.
Well, by law, you have to have a written transcript.
Right, but we
So
can do what
you
we're
have
doing
to
now.
transcribe, but it can
Understood.
be a summary.
Understood. We could also put a note, though, in that written transcript that if you want to hear the complete minutes of the meeting, you can go to the website and see it, or hear it, I mean. That being said,
Commissioner Heaton.
right?
Commissioner Heaton.
Do you have another comment? I'm sorry.
I'm hesitating, but I have an opinion if you care to hear it.
I always like to hear your opinion.
I think it's a really bad idea to have a written transcript. I'll tell you why. Two reasons, really. Well, more than two, but two. Let me just come to mind. First of all, this is a republic, not a democracy. At least it was set up that way. You guys have all the authority you need, and transparency have been taken to an absolutely absurd level. People have an opportunity to come. They have an opportunity, at least in some degree, to participate. I think if the essence of the discussion, which allows you, by which you arrived at a decision, a very accurate description of the motion and who voted for what, that provides the transparency that the public is required to have. I think that if you go to the extent that you're going to, the normal tendency for a human to misspeak or say something that they probably shouldn't have said, or it just provides a huge level of liability that I don't think you want. I think if I were you, I would keep good minutes, conversation, essence of the conversation. If somebody really wants to know that bad, then make the tape available to them. But what is happening when somebody goes to that length? The discussion was had, the decision was made. Somebody's going to really hate the decision and look for a way to overturn the board. That's the reason they would go to those minutes. Or they would be offended by something that was said and look for a reason to come and sue the board. I wouldn't set that up for them and make it easy. I just wouldn't go there. I think it's a huge trap for you. And because I say things sometimes that I wish I hadn't said. And everyone does. If you make yourself so vulnerable. You've gone beyond the need for transparency, and you've set yourself up for someone who really wants to make trouble for you. And there always are those. There are always those. So I discourage you from going there. I'm sorry, I just do. I mean, our council has told us, and our trainings have told us, that there's a lot of value in a little plausible deniability.
Another Roxy one.
So and don't get me wrong, I am all for transparency, but I don't think that this crowd needs to run this board. Honestly, I don't. Other than election time, that's when this crowd has input. And the reason the founding fathers did that for us was to keep us from being endlessly in debate that was absolutely not profitable. And so they set up a really great system. But there's been a long tendency to move that system from a republic, from an elected form of government where you all have the authority given, vested in you to make those decisions, back to so much public input that the public has the ability to control the process, and that's just not a good thing.
Okay, so I want to thank you for your input, by the way. What I'm hearing is, and we seem to be have different opinions on the board, and this isn't something that's going to get settled today anyway, because we need to look into Frank's idea, his technology about maybe putting the recording on the website, which is I think it's a really good idea, because then you'll be able to hear everything and maybe do a little better job of recording our minutes now. Not that we need a lot more meat, if you will, but more meat. Is there a motion? Will someone make a motion temporarily for this month until we can look into this? Give us a month to look at it. To look into what Linda Hartley would charge to transcribe the minutes of this particular meeting up to a certain cost. Just looking at some of these folks, they charge a lot of money. And we'll come back to this next month under old business. So at least we have minutes transcribed somehow.
How will you have them transcribed?
Linda Hartley.
Okay, my question is verbatim?
Without some of the fluff in there. Yes, we're more verbatim than they are now. I don't know how else to explain it. In those 80 to 90 pages of minutes, there was a lot of stuff in those minutes that really didn't need to be in there.
I understand what you're saying. I really understand what you're saying. And as far as someone coming to a meeting, I have had people sit in the audience and turn right around and got their answers and turned right around and went down the street and repeated something entirely different. So whether they're here or not doesn't make any difference as far as rumors and gossip go. I'm just stating is right now, being we have a district clerk, which is Frank, and if Betty put more fluff into the minutes, added a little bit more of what the discussion was about, Frank has got to proof them before they come
Actually,
out.
the board should be proofing the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All of us should be reviewing the minutes.
And this is true, but I'm just stating, if she did that, you wouldn't have to hire anyone.
Okay, again, if no one makes a motion similar to what I just said, the thing will die. We'll transcribe the minutes as we've been doing. Maybe Betty can put some more fluff, if you will, some more meat into it. See how it goes for next month. In the meantime, we can look into this, getting the recording right on the website, which we're going to talk about further down the line here anyway. So if there's no motion, this will die.
I would make a motion that we find out what Linda would charge us as a starting point, and then revisit under Linda would charge us, and Ms. Frank is a clerk to say this is what we want, either verbatim or something near verbatim, but definitely more meat, and then come back and revisit it in February. But for this meeting, find out what she charges, and then she would then do that.
can you restate the motion
Absolutely.
to put a dollar amount in there so that we're not spending people's money without the board knowing what we're spending to do this? Do you know what I'm saying?
I would make a motion that we ask her what she would charge us, and that we would pay no more than $150 to have her transcribe the minutes for today.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to inquire of Linda Hartley if she would be willing to transcribe the minutes for no more than $150. This meeting only. Is that your motion?
That is.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's 2 seconds here, one from the vice chair and Sharon. All in favor, say aye.
Discussion, please.
More discussion.
No, just discussion on the motion.
Oh, go ahead.
With the end result being, if she agrees to do it for 150 or less, to commit to her to do that
For
without
this-
further
Yes,
input from the board.
for the single meeting.
And if she elects not to, then we
We're
go
left with
back
the old
to...
system.
Then as clerk, you're responsible.
No, I just wanted to have the clarity, yeah. You're going to be sitting over there.
So the motion again is to inquire of Linda Hartley for up to $150 to transcribe the minutes to this meeting only. For up to $150. That's what the motion is, and there was a second on that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Poll the board.
Jim?
Yay.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
And I, as the chair, say aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose a motion that we requested, no, not a motion, that we request the clerk to come up with his recommendation on how to handle these meetings in February and the minutes in February.
Would you accept that?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean.
We couldn't hear over
We
here.
can't hear on this report.
Is have the freedom to come back in February with a recommendation on how, as clerk, you would like to handle the minutes.
Oh, okay.
I'll be looking some stuff up too. We can be talking. Okay, we buried that one. Number 8 is the maintenance, the title of maintenance supervisor, whatever the title was that Greg Lyman had in that period of time when we didn't have a fire chief, or he was overseeing the maintenance on the equipment. Right, and the chief liaison, which Pat Colai was assigned to do by the previous chair out more. And actually Jay's on this one, because you're sick of listening to me, so let's listen to Jay.
The charter states that any time that the board is not in session or in meeting, that the authority to make board decisions rests with the chairman. And our job is, as board members and as a board, is to look forward, to not look back. The chief should report to the chairman. For the facilities, maintenance, equipment, building, those responsibilities should all lie with the chief. They shouldn't lie with someone else, I believe, that we designate, and as well as the chief liaison and volunteer liaison. The chief should report directly to the chairman. There shouldn't be an intermediary. So I would like to see those 2 positions. I'm not aware of any other positions that fall under that, but I'd like to see those 2 positions be dissolved. I don't think they're necessity positions. I think they add to the confusion.
Is that it?
I see the floor.
We'll open the floor for discussion.
I agree with Mr. Wilhelm. As I read the responsibilities of the chairman and the chief is to report to the chairman, and that the chairman is to interface with the chief when we're not in meetings. That would mean that the other board members, if the chief comes to them with a problem or anything, they're referring directly to the chairman.
Pat?
I also agree 100%. The maintenance, to me, we hired a fire chief. I feel that this board should have 150% trust in this fire chief. He's got a lot of experience. He should be over volunteers. He knows what needs to be done and what have you, and he should only answer to one person, which has been in the past the chairman. And I'm sorry that, I don't know how I got into the position, but I just whatever the chief asked me about, I let him know. I never have been the liaison between the volunteers at all. I just went to them. So I do agree that this chief is the one that should be in charge.
Yes, sir.
I agree completely. No reason to muddle a chain of command. It is what it is. Let's get back to that. Also, our own policies state that the fire chief is responsible for maintenance. Don't put somebody else in there. We hired him to do a job. Let's let him do that job.
Any else discussion? So this isn't a votable item because it is in the policies and it's also in the charter. In Article 7.5, that talks about, Article 7 talks about the duties of the officers and employees of the board and the employees of the board. So just to make everybody clear, when we are together in a meeting and the chief is here and he's not off in Las Vegas attending training. He is attending training, by the way.
He's in St. George.
St. George.
St. George.
That they don't gamble in St. George?
Pardon?
Just kidding. When we're together as a board, anyone on the board can direct the chief in a task. Everyone agrees to that. When we are, the chief and the paid staff, by the way, which is you. When we are not together, the chairman has superintendents of the district, is actually the wording that's in the charter. Everyone agrees to that?
Yes.
We don't need to vote on it. Okay, moving on. Let's not beat that one to death either. Number 9 is monthly work meetings. And I got my name on that one, and Sharon, you want to talk or you want me to talk?
Go ahead.
For the last 2 years, the former folks on the board were having monthly meetings at 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon to discuss what was going to be on the agenda for Saturday's meeting. And then they would reconvene on Saturday. Sometimes the discussion would repeat itself, and sometimes it would not repeat itself. And then they would vote on whatever the topic was. My understanding of work meetings, and I'm proposing this to the board, work meetings are used to discuss things like snow contracts, budget, when it's time to do the budget. Large things, we need a work meeting to discuss that sort of thing. But not to force the public to come twice to find out what we're going to vote on. So I'm proposing, and we'll open this for discussion again, that we're going to abolish the Friday night work meetings before the regular meeting. I'm not abolishing work meetings because that isn't a statute and we are allowed to have them. But those are for special items only. And the same procedures apply, that we have to post and announce work meetings because they are open meetings. And I'll open for discussion. Chuck?
I agree, we don't need the monthly work meetings. However, the special work meeting should be at the call of the chairman in following the charter of how to call a special meeting.
Thank you. Somebody else on this side have their hand up? Jay?
I agree. I'd like to do away with the previous night's work meeting, keeping in mind that we have another discussion on the floor on points 5 and 11, the UASC and the county training, and we discussed having it the day before, so do away with them, but keep possibly the work meeting for February, if that turns out, or whatever date there is. Keep that one on the books.
Work meeting for, even the Grand Biddy, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Did that clarify?
I don't care if we have one or not.
On work meetings, you mean?
Well, every week. If there's something special, then it's different.
Sharon?
We'll need to have them like discussing budget, if we're doing something with snow, whatever. There are times that we will have to call them. And
There are provisions in the charter for this chairman
Right.
to call special meetings.
I go along with that.
I, trust me, agree on these work meetings, because I think the work meeting should be, and that started way back when Chuck was chairman 100 years ago, with having work meetings. But I do agree, because all you're doing is, to me, the work meeting was to discuss and get everything out, but you are 100% right. I don't like the idea of going to a meeting the next day and discussing the same thing over again that you're supposed to discuss the night before. You either vote on it or you don't vote on it. So I would gladly do away with the work meetings, only unless there's something special.
You're the only one left.
I don't have any particular comment other than they're administrative, so I don't see that there's a need for any motion or anything. It's just the meetings are called at the, what's the word I want?
Discretion?
Discretion of the chair. So unless the chair calls for a meeting, we don't have work meetings.
I don't think this is something we need to vote on. Everyone said that. We're just going to not have regularly scheduled Friday night work meetings before the Saturday meeting. Okay, item 10, we're moving right along here. Remember, we went for cake break, and it's the only note. It's good. Procedural Review Committee. And I guess I'll do that because I was up here a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, and Betty allowed me to look at the master book, if you will, of all our policies and procedures, and I did a match with the book that I had from back in 2010 and 2011, and there have been some changes. There's been about, I'm ballparking this, about 15 policies that have changed since 2011, if you will. Some of them are for the good. A lot of them had to do with titles of individuals, because before we had a board clerk and a station secretary, and now we have, I don't know what your title is, board secretary. So a new policy came into being for that with a job description, and there were other policies that referenced board clerk and station secretary, and those changes happened. There are some other policies that I'm not really sure why they changed, because when they were written, they followed what the statute was at the time, and it may be that the statute changed. I don't know. But what I would propose is we form a procedural committee, and you can make copies of this. What I did is I took the agenda, the table of contents out of the policies and procedures book. I made a copy, and I went down of the ones currently in the master book and marked S if it was the same policy, C if it changed, and A if they were added. There are a couple of policies that have been added that do not follow the format that was created when the policies and procedures book was created. They're in a different format. And it's either we change them all to that format, or we change the two that were changed back to the right format, either or. So I'm proposing that we get a couple of folks to kind of go through this, and like I said, we'll make copies of this so you'll know. You don't have to look at all of them, just the 15 or 20 that I have a C or an A next to. Any volunteers? We got one volunteer in J. We need at least 2 people.
I'll work on it. If you'll kind of honcho it, I'll work on it with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't think we need to vote on this either.
I've got a thought for you.
Another thought.
Just, it would be helpful. When you have a long history like this, in any organization, sometimes it's a good idea to actually decide to take affirmative actions, amending and restating those policies that are currently in force, and getting a clear date as to what your policies are. That might be a very positive thing you might want to consider. And then when these policies are adopted, we ought to have a standard form on there where the district clerk signs and dates. This policy was approved and adopted at this meeting, signature, date, and then we keep originals. So we have a very, very clear record of what our official action is.
That's a good suggestion, and if I'm not mistaken, in the master book there is a page similar to that right now that has the date the policy was originally adopted versus the new one was approved. I think there's an initial column or something. There is something in there that I remember seeing. That's a good idea. By the way, when we do, if there are any that we're going to amend or change in the future, and this is something I was going to talk with Betty about, that we will display the policy as we did a couple of years ago up here so everybody can see what we're doing, which I think is only fair to the public, rather than you mysteriously find out one day that there's a new policy. Is everybody agreeable to that? How many copies of this have? Yes, Chuck.
The table of contents of the policies and procedures was set up with many that were never actually written. Some of those are important and should be added in. So I would like the committee to also look at what new policies, those that weren't adopted, that should be.
Thanks, Chuck. Okay. Next one is county training. Oh, we're tabling that to the end, I'm sorry. The next one up is J, I believe, and that's electronic gatekeeping records.
We have several electronic record-keeping things. I'll start with the state website. I don't know who's currently in charge of keeping track of that, administering that, submitting changes and making sure that it's up to date. We have our own district website, and the links that are, the information that's presented on the district website. Right now I'm not aware of what other electronic record-keeping means we have. We may have thumb drives or CDs, cassette tapes, but I think that two people, the chairman and one other person, should be in control of access at all times. The reason I say two people is, one, if the chairman's in control of it, being one of those people, he continues to safeguard and also to display the direction that the board has chosen to go. And two, a second person, in the event that something should happen to the chairman or something should happen to that second person, we are able to continue that without having, per se, the access to those types of records get stymied because we lose a person, or we lose the person who had access. So I'd like to see two designated people have access to all those electronic record keeping things, and to also along those records, the reason I brought this up is the state website is the information's incomplete. I mean, we still have, I think it's Betty Clatt is still listed as a secretary. Sometimes information's on there, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the information that is on there is incomplete. You either have to go somewhere else or come to this meeting, this location, to find out what that information is. So I'd like to, one, change the way we have access to that, And then 2, change the method in which we use those 2 items.
Discussion? Discussion by anyone?
Are you referring to the Cedar Mountain website also?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I would just like to say something here. That website, there's been a lot of complaints about that website because it's not up to date. I mean, we just have the minutes on there. But I just want to throw this out there that I did speak to the president of one of the homeowners associations that wanted some information to put on the website they were creating. And she did give me a name of someone that does websites, and I just would like the board to think about having someone handle our website. I have the name in
Karen
there.
Clevin or something similar to that?
Pardon me? No, it was a company, and actually the company was out of Vegas that does a lot of websites here in Utah also. But ours is just so far behind times and what have you. It was called Percolate. I'm sorry, I did have the information.
Can you spell it?
Perkolate. And she gave me a name and a number, and I just throwing it out there that it might be something to consider, having someone do it professionally.
And again, that's money, I'm assuming.
Pardon me?
You're going to pay somebody to do it.
Right, but right now, they used to pay someone to do it.
Well, it was that lady from Swains Creek.
Yeah, it was Karen
something.
Cagley from
That's
Swains
Cagley.
Creek that used to do it, and they did pay her. And so most people are not going to do anything for free unless you're a board member.
Any other discussion? Chuck?
Mr. Chairman, for many people, that website is the first look that they have of our organization. And that should be up to date, and it should be the very best we can do. What I would do is request that you, as chairman, check into the method to update or redo it.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Jay, with respect to the Utah Public Notice website, when we have something that goes in the Sun, they send it up for us. No, I take that back. There's 2 websites. But we don't have a mechanism in place for, that I'm aware of, for updating the general information that's about us on that state website. Am I wrong?
In 2011, when we had the mass walkout of the staff, I got into the website because I had the username and password, and I posted the agenda on that website. It's not difficult to do.
Okay.
It's not difficult to change, and it's not Betty Cladd, it's Linda Hartley that is the contact person there. It's been there for 2 years.
Okay.
It's not difficult to change any of that.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Because
I was going to say, originally I
talk
got
again.
into it. I'm sorry.
we got to wait for the other guys.
Okay,
Remember?
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, you pointed at me. Don't point at me.
You.
Go for it, guy.
Any other discussion?
I would like to close it out. My point wasn't that, on the website at least, that we shouldn't spend, on the Cedar Mountain website, we shouldn't spend more money. It just needs to be brought up to date. The formats of the agendas, the formats of the notes, they need to follow the same format. It needs to be, user-friendly is not the right word. It just needs to be brought up to date because, like Mr. Breckler said, it is the first place many people go to look for what are the present conditions, what are the road conditions, what are the current events, that kind of thing. And then I do have one question. Ms. Colai, you stated the president of Homeowners Association. Do you remember which Homeowners Association? Do you remember which president?
It was Donna Roshak. I'm not sure if she was president, but she called me from Duck Creek Pines. Color, was that what it was? Okay, she called me from there because she wanted information on cheap.
I see the phone.
Is there, who is doing the Cedar Mountain website now? Who has the username and password? Both of you two? I propose, if the board doesn't object, that give me the username and password so I can go into those websites, because it may just be able to be fixed internally without spending more money to do it. I know the Utah Public website, you can post stuff there every month. And I agree with, I don't know if it was Jay that said it, that some months the agenda is there, some months it will say, no, take that back, the agenda has never been there. It'll always tell you there's a special meeting, and then you got to go to the CMFDP website and find the meeting date for that. And I'm not critical of anybody. Just, if you would, give me the username and the password for both of them and let me look at it, if that's okay with the rest of the board.
Sure.
Okay. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we? No. Number 13, financial audit, and that's Jay.
I've attended several meetings in the past year. The reason I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda is during the past year, I've never been at a meeting where I had the financial statements, whether it be a scheduled meeting, a public hearing, or a special meeting, available to me as a member of the public. And so the board would have an ensuing discussion on the finances of the district, and as a member of the public in the audience, we didn't have any idea of where that stood. Still, as become a board member, I have your report, thank you. But I would like to get a financial audit to make sure, as we come into office, that things are as displayed. Does that, that's not the right wording, but that everything is above board, that we're not missing anything, and that we have the right funds in the right columns.
That's it.
Okay. Hi.
Discussion?
I have a question for you. As the incoming clerk, I would certainly like to verify that all of our records are accurate. And perhaps I have a misunderstanding, but I thought we were required to be audited annually.
We are, every July.
So-
Every July.
Kimball and
So I'll
Roberts.
check with the auditors in conjunction with Betty and see if we can schedule an audit sometime in the next month or so. I don't know when the deadline is. I'm sure it's pretty quickly.
They do, every July, they do an audit, and then they print out a book that, of all their findings, and I don't know what he's talking about, but what you received today is printed and given out to anybody that attends the meeting, that tells you what is going on as far as the, you know, what's in what. Your treasurer's report that you just thanked Sharon for, the treasurer and the clerk report is done by the accountant in Cedar City. It's sent up here. I print it out and put it on the table for everybody that attends the meeting.
Now, today we had a lot of people, so maybe some didn't get it. And
All they have to do
Kimball
is
and
ask.
Roberts, yeah.
And the books for last July's audit, they are in the office, and you're more than welcome to have one.
They're very, very thorough. Very thorough.
Is there any other discussion for board members?
Yes.
Chuck?
I think that waiting until July is too long. If the auditors that we've been using can't do it earlier and get us a up-to-date, an earlier response, then I think we should look at somebody that could. And what Frank, as I understand, is requesting is a more in-depth audit that shows that looks at all of the books and makes sure that everything is in order.
To the other three people, hold on. Do you have anything to add? Have you
Well, I
talked
know
to
it's,
us? Have
pardon?
you talked already?
No, I haven't.
Okay, good.
I know they're asking about line item, and it was the present accountant and Lyman talked and thought that it would be so much easier, you know, to understand if all of the line items weren't in there, but I think they could be put back in, and I think they need to be, so that everybody can see exactly each line what is done.
Have you talked already?
No.
You're up. You done?
I really don't think I have too much to say. I know that they, each month, they print out where everything was charged to and the line items, and everything is done by the accountant. I'm not sure if I agree that everything should go according to the accountant, because it's like anything else. If you mess up, whose fault is it, the accountant's or yours?
Just to follow up, I came to, I want to say 4 or 5 of the last 7 meetings. There was only one time where I saw financial statements on that table, and I'm usually here first. So I'm agreeing with Mr. Wilhelm that they're not always out there. And that's not pointing fingers at anybody. But in the future, another change is we're going to go back to the old way, that we'll print out some copies and put it on that table. But we will project on the screen the financials as the treasurer and the clerk are given their reports, so everybody can see them. If you want a hard copy and there isn't one at the table, we'll make one for you.
First off, the July 30th audit date. The reason we have a July 30th audit date is we vote on the fees. We're supposed to vote on the fees by the end of July. Since the inception of this board, the reason we vote on the fees at the end of July is we don't know how the previous snow season has affected our budget. So figuring that the previous snow season ended in April to May, now we have enough information to know how it's affected our budget and how we need to plan for the upcoming year. So that's the reason that we vote on the fees. That's the reason we have I believe, the audit when we have the audit. Secondly, I'm going to digress to the verbatim meeting minutes. And I think each of you will recall, I don't want to point fingers, but I want to point out an example of some of the items we've discussed here today. There was a special meeting on September 29th. Is that a correct date? Do you all recall that? Is that a
It
wrong
was just
date?
a work meeting for the budget. It wasn't a special. Maybe it was printed wrong, advertised. It was just, we have to have a work meeting for the budget.
Okay.
And that's all that was.
So that meeting was advertised on the state website as a special meeting, but there was no agenda. So then you had to come to the
Right.
CMFPD website to see what the agenda was. When we got to that meeting, I was sitting in the audience where Mr. Robbins sits, Greg Lyman sat, addressing the board on financial statements which were not available to the audience. If we had verbatim minutes, if you don't recall this, if we had verbatim minutes at that time, Mr. Gagliardi said, I don't understand what you're talking about, I don't have those numbers in front of me. So not everybody has the information all the time. I'm just pointing out that, hey, all these items, this is what's kind of led to these things. But I would like to see a financial audit sooner rather than later, even though it's out of place in the time of the year as we take office, because we did digress from line items that were easily transparent to generalized accounts.
Go ahead.
I think the reason we have that date, I think, Commissioner, isn't that all of the special service districts have it about at that time? I think that's...
Actually, the county will be asking you for your budget probably in late July.
Right. And there's, and that meeting, I know that meeting, and I know the papers we had, that was a one time that I'm...
Do I speak again? Go ahead.
I was just going to state, I had stated that if you're having a budget meeting, that you must put it out as a public hearing, budget meeting. They had it as a special meeting. I agreed with Frank, and I'm not knocking anybody. I was trying to keep track of what was going on, as Frank was. What can I say when someone says, well, you don't have the same papers as I do? Well, we should all have the same page. We should all be on the same page. But anyhow, that's all I would say about
Okay.
that.
I'd like to put this puppy to rest,
Yes.
because I think, I'm 99% sure, because I have had discussions with Carla Johnson, when Carla and Georgia Baca come up here for their county training, this topic is going to come up of having these generalized accounts with all the money lumped into one thing that you're seeing in your financials versus having line items, and why you do line items. And the basic reason is so the board can account for every penny that it's spending to the public. So there's probably a good chance that we're going to go back to a line item kind of format, and we'll probably have to talk with the accountant, whoever that person is, and swap back to the way that it was before. So with that, back to what the line item actually is about a financial audit. Is there a motion to inquire of Kimball and Roberts to conduct a financial audit prior to the normal time that they come, which is the July timeframe, July, August?
I would so move to include a more in-depth audit of books.
There's a motion on the table to do what I just stated.
Request Kimball and Robert to proceed with their audit
Out of cycle.
out of cycle.
I'll second it.
There's a second. All in favor?
Question,
More discussion.
are you gonna have another one in July too? No. Have two of them this year?
No.
Don't we have,
As of January 31st, that's when we're required to have it done.
I believe Chuck's correct on that. I think that's what the statute.
Within 180 days after the close of each fiscal year, the district shall prepare an annual financial report. I think that this gets timed with that. And so advancing it, I don't think would be a problem. Whether you want to do it right this second, I don't know. I'm looking right here at some things myself.
By the way, to add more,
The thing I'm looking at, see, there's audits and then there's compilations. And do we got a full audit here? They do a full audit. You're talking, audits are very expensive. If you can direct how detailed you want them to be, and it becomes a very time-consuming process. And that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, see if I can have some advice for you right now. So.
just to make a quick comment, and then we'll recognize Commissioner Heaton. I believe the reason why they do the audit in July, and somebody needs to remember this to ask the ladies from the county when they come up here, is because the county's on a fiscal year. As what Ed just said, we're on a calendar year. That's part of the problem. That's why we have to turn in our certification letter with our snow and fire fee by the end of July or August, is because down there, they're at the end of their year, and that's why they're demanding the letter then, where the board, because we're on a calendar year, thinking we don't have to do it until October or November. That's what the problem is. Commissioner.
You've got a number of factors that go in. Your auditor's going to be a lot more expensive at the beginning of the year because he's in the middle of the tax season. There's different kinds of audits. The auditor, when he comes in, he's going to look really audit process. That's part of the audit. The process is critical because that's where you safeguard the public's funds. They also look at money, but the totals in the accounts, that should be a really, really simple thing to arrive at. If that's the number you're looking for, you've got a CPA down there who, your accountant could probably give you those numbers. If you want verification of just the numbers, I don't think that would be very expensive. You want verification of the process? Now you're talking about a whole different matter. So I don't know. Jay, I guess the question would be, what is your concern? Is it have to do with process or that the money in the account is actually what is represented?
Both.
I can, yes, both. The money's in the accounts as a result of the process, and I believe the process to be faulted or improper in the past. And I'd just like to figure out what is supposed to be where and be legal and whole.
That when the auditor comes in, if you schedule the audit in April or May,
which is what we would recommend that you do. I think Carla starts asking for your audit in April. Is that true, Betty? Normally?
Our audit,
Yeah.
it's always been, as long as I've been here, in July.
July.
And they call, they schedule, they come in, they spend several hours and hours doing it.
Days.
They're going to go back over the entire year. They're going to go back over all the process and all the problems from this. It'll show up then. If that's too late for you, then you need to have one now. So, I mean, I'm not trying to influence this discussion other than just clarify.
Here's what you're getting right now. You are getting audited financial statements, not just compilations, okay? But the auditing process is not a comprehensive one. They have procedures by which they go through and designate, we'll look at this account, we'll look at this chain of checks. It is not a global detailed audit where we've gone in and verified every single transaction, that the money went in and it was been appropriately processed, there's a receipt, all those kinds of things. They spot check. And if the spot check clears, they pass it as an audited financial statement. So if the question has specific concerns about specific accounts and transactions, then the question for the CPA needs to be that. We want an audit of this account or this line item or this transaction category. Otherwise, you walk in and say, well, we want audited financials, and they'll do what they've done before and accelerate the process. But it will still be spot checking according to their parameters, and that may not be what you're thinking.
How about this thought? And I would request that Chuck withdraw his motion and that we get in touch with the accountant, the CPA, this month, soon, and have him come back, if he comes up here, if he does it from his office, transfer the budget back to a line item budget, and this is actually your bailiwick, because you're the one that's going to be dealing with it. And then I think we would have a better understanding of what money is where before we go out and do an audit out of sequence and spend extra money. And I'm asking for your input because you're the clerk. It's your bailiwick.
I would ask you to give me a chance to get my arms around this and get a feel for where we are exactly, and then come back to you next month with a thought.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Chuck.
However, I would like to point out that them coming and doing their audit in July does not meet with the statutes that requires it to be done within 180 days, and that we should keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, what you just read to me, what I heard was 180 days of the close of the fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
So if the fiscal year ends on September 30th, like the federal government does.
Our fiscal year ends on the calendar year.
Right, we're in a calendar year.
Yeah.
Not a fiscal
So
year.
it would have to be done before June 30th.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Let me not confuse you. There's a separate statute that talks about audits. There's one that talks about financial reports. There is no time set in the audit capsule. There is a time set in the financial report capsule. It does say 180 days. And yes, the audits typically they're all typically scrambling to get everything done. And Carla's typically going, where's my audit? I need to batch it with all the rest. And we're typically, we should be getting those out in June if we can.
I think that audit normally should be heard in May, actually.
We should, yeah.
I would like to make a motion that we move the normal audit time to May to comply with both the statutes and the county's need. And that would satisfy what I would like to see. If it happens 5 months down the road, I can still point back and say, hey, here's where I was looking at it, 5 months later, it's all right with me.
So the motion is to move the audit up to May, and that would be our yearly audit.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be doing it again in July, which was Jim was asking earlier. That is the motion on the table. The previous motion was withdrawn. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
It's been seconded by 100 people. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. We beat that one.
I want to make I want to put something to rest. I have heard a comment that all of the accounts were lumped into one. And I want you to know, there's like 7 books, everything, we've expanded it even. Everything has its own checking account. It's not before we would have to take out a snow to put in checking, we'd have to make all of these transfers. Now, we have our snow savings, we have our snow checking. Everything is in a separate department, in a separate book. So everything has not been lumped into one. And that was a comment that I...
Point well taken. But to close the loop, the financial documents that are put on that table are not line item documents as they were in previous boards. That was the point, that's all.
Yeah.
Not that you don't have it there.
No,
but they should be able to see that.
Yeah, oh, I totally agree.
Okay.
I just wanted to know that it's not all in one account.
Moving on to the next one, and this is a short one, and I guess I'll, unless you want to take the lead, the snow manager. We did the other two. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you put it on.
I'm proposing to the board that we keep Jim on as snow manager for the rest of this winter season, seeing as how we're into it now, and then we'll discuss it more before the fall season comes. And he already understands, I believe, that you're not necessarily telling the snow contractors what to do or where to plow. You're ensuring that the roads are open. That's what the snow manager is. And you're measuring that. Are you measuring?
I call them in the morning when we get enough snow, and they plow, and I just go around and make sure the hydrants are done and all the roads are done. That's about it.
That's it.
But you are
And that
measuring,
way the public can call me instead of bothering the contractor.
I like that.
you're measuring though,
And
right?
I measure, yeah.
Here.
Just to bring up one point, because I was talking with one of the contractors earlier, in the previous snow contractors, and he said it's in this contract, and I haven't seen the one that was created either in 2012 or 13, I don't remember when. The snow contractors, at their option, can start plowing whenever they want.
Yeah.
Because everyone will agree, you get more snow in Meadowview than you do in Swains Creek, for example.
If the contractors want to start plowing at 2 inches, they can, but they're going to be plowing at 6 inches.
Right.
And I would say the reason, when we had them questions on that first storm, accumulations don't start counting to pay us until we plow that first time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I think it has something to do with why we didn't plow that first storm, because it's supposed to be nice weather for another month after that.
So we're all in agreement with that. We don't need to discuss, we don't need to vote. He already is. And now we're back to the ugly UASD thing. Remember, we moved the number 5 and number 11 to the end. And we moved it to the end because I believe you asked us to.
I would, we said we would get dates to Betty Moore, and I would like to suggest the dates of, bear with me here a second.
Well, you can do this after the meeting, give me the dates for it. Is that okay with you?
I was doing it for the county's benefit, so he would know what we asked.
Oh.
He would know what we were going to ask of Mr. Bitter and have that idea as he leaves. I would like to suggest February 7th and March 7th. Those are the 2 days preceding the scheduled meetings we've agreed on.
March the what, Jerry?
February 7th and March 7th. And suggest those 2 dates and see if he's available on either of those 2 dates.
Does anyone have any of the board members have any objections to ask about those 2 dates? If LeGrand Bidder is not available on either one of those dates, does the board agree that we'll do this on January 21st, since that's when it is available? And for those of us, specifically Jay and myself, that won't be here on the 21st, is we'll just take it online.
And I will personally take the time to follow up with Carla and
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Well, I think, even if we separate them and them come up another time, I think if we can all be together, if possible, to do theirs.
The training for the county, I thought, was, of course, for any board member that wants to attend, but it was primarily for the district clerk, right, to explain to him about bookkeeping, if you will, for lack of a better term, line items versus groupings, that sort of thing.
If it,
Hold on, Chuck.
I think, I don't know what all, I haven't talked with Commissioner Heaton, and I don't know what all was to be involved in that, but I think it would be good if all of the board members could attend that meeting, whether it's in the afternoon or whatever. I think it's important that all the board members attend it.
What was planned? Excuse me.
Georgia was going to come and talk to you about the assessment, so that we get the taxes on the assessed rules right. Carla has some things she wants to talk to you about, and I have some things that I'd like to discuss with about process. And I think maybe it might be helpful if I mean, I can do that in this meeting, but because I mean I've got a 2-minute speech, but I think it'd be better to have the board. Yeah, it'd be better in a board training session.
Sure.
Because I don't want to be accused of finding fault with the board process, but I'm probably going to. I just don't want them to know.
No more eggs for you, I'll tell you that.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Just what I'd like to do, if you don't object, if the board doesn't object, is to go down to Canap and talk with each of those folks individually so that I can get the mechanics of what the county wants and needs on all these things, plus the calendar timelines that you need all these things. More detailed probably than what they plan to present to the
That would
board
probably
as a whole.
satisfy Georgia and Carla. Yeah, probably would, because you're the one who's going to be basically the focal point of their training, is that process that we do financially.
Okay.
As you wish, that works for me.
Okay. Not to take it away, I think the whole board needs to hear what they have to say, but perhaps not to the amount of detail that I'm looking for.
I think that's a good idea.
If you wouldn't mind, let me know when you're going to go. Sure, I'll be over with you.
Okay.
Because I've heard some of it, but I'd like to hear it again. Never hurts to hear something 10 times. Okay, so what I'm hearing is, and I think we're making a motion. I don't know if we have to make a motion. When you call LeGrand tomorrow, ask him if February 7th or March 7th is more convenient, and it would be at 6 p.m. And if not, I guess we'll go with the January 21st date, which he already agreed that he is available, and we know 5 of the 7 of us can be there. Does that work for everybody? We don't have to vote on that, I don't think. We kill that dead horse. You know, we kill that one too.
Then remember, Mr. Chairman, to comply, you have to call a special meeting for that.
Well, that's a good point. If it's
If it's not a regularly scheduled meeting,
if it's a training session, though, I'm not sure that we can advertise it as a work meeting, sure.
let's make sure we do until at least we have this training and find out.
In fact, I think you're right. I stand corrected. I think back in 2010 and 11, we advertised it as a work meeting and the public is welcome to attend. However, the books, the little manuals are just given to the board members and not the rest of the public. But if you want one of those, again, talk to me after the meeting. I'll tell you how to get to the website, the Utah Auditors Association website. You can print off the book. In fact, I talked with the chief about it the other day. He's interested in getting it. He's not required to take the training, but he just wants to read about it so he understands what the process is here, seeing as how he's from Nevada and California, I think.
Originally California, otherwise Henderson, Nevada is where he lives.
So we will, Chuck.
Yeah.
We'll advertise it as a work meeting.
What about our meeting with the county commission? We don't have to,
Well,
or with, not county commission, with you.
we probably will do that also, so that way we're not meeting in a quorum, and it's not a work meeting, and it's not, any type of open meeting, special meeting, so we'll just do that. Doesn't hurt.
If there are more than 3 of us attending it,
I don't think so. I think if you go to a training, you can all go together, you don't have to advertise that meeting.
Well, that's what I think.
well, let's check that out.
That's a misconception.
Let's be safe.
Open meeting law.
Over the years, I really encouraged notice, and all of our work meetings have been on notice. The idea of a true work meeting, for example, 2 of you go to inspect a new hook and ladder truck, doesn't have to be noticed. But because we're all getting together and they have a feature of regularity, I should public notice it.
I don't see where it hurts. I mean, it's just putting something on the notice website and posting it in the village, which reminds me of something about posting. Go ahead.
My point is, there are incidental meetings, you cannot make a decision in a
Yes.
meeting that's not noticed. But if Jim and I and Dirk all need to go to Salt Lake City, we rather than charge the county for 3 different cars, we climb in the same car. Now, we have to have opportunity to, it's not like we put a muzzle on ourselves for 4 hours at the beginning. There's nothing wrong with that. You schedule a training, notice it for public, but it's not required.
Point taken.
You can go to a training together.
Do you want to say something?
Yes, I believe Commissioner Heaton, didn't you also state that last night it not only involved Georgia and Carla, but possibly have Bert Harris here with the road department?
I think it'd be good as long as we're having.
Right, as long as you were having a meeting, anybody that would be helpful to...
But I might bring a representative from the sheriff's department. I know you've got some questions about enforcement on house numbers and on snow removal, vehicle parking. I know you've got questions about roads. I'd probably bring more than just Georgia and Carla.
Right, and someone from the sheriff's office,
Yeah, that's what I see.
which I think would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. The last item on the agenda is closed session. Is there a reason that we need to go into closed session? Because we're coming on. Is there any...
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask for a closed session for the specific item of pending or reasonably imminent litigation, so we can be brought up to date on what litigation is pending against the department, against the district.
There's a motion on the table to go into closed session for pending or imminent litigation. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been seconded.
One other thing.
Further discussion.
One other thing. Oh, I would like also that the comments from the public be moved up ahead of us going into a closed session.
Does anybody have any heartburn with that? Okay, we're going to push the motion on the table to go into closed session off to the side just for a moment, and we'll open up the meeting to members of the public. Comments? And Jerry had his hand up a long time ago. Do you still remember what you wanted to ask?
Now, my concern was this, when you were talking about changing of the time. During the winter months, the snow removal people do not have adequate time to remove the snow by 9 o'clock in the morning. And I just felt that that would keep Joe Public from being able to attend the meeting. I know my road doesn't get usually cleaned out until 11 or 12, and so it could make a hardship for anybody that wants to attend.
Okay. It's noted in the minutes. Yep.
I also want to echo.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I forgot. If we're doing public comments, please state your name so that whoever's transcribing this can say that Jerry spoke and now Pam. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Pam Ince, I want to echo Jerry's statement. It's a 1 day a month. And 9 o'clock is a little early. If the agenda was whittled down a little bit and kept on task, and everybody did what they were supposed to do, then the agenda wouldn't be that long and an hour would be sufficient.
Point taken. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Dr. Dillon. But see, I like the 9 o'clock because my husband and I are both Catholic, and, you know, the mass here during the summer is at 11, and, you know, we come here, we leave, we go to mass, and then we come back and we're missing half of, you know, what's going on. So I like the 9.
Anybody else?
You could compromise and do winter at 10. John Scott, compromise, do winter at 10 and summer at 9. Because there's no church services in the winter.
That's a good idea.
Well, seeing as how it was voted on, that we were going to move this to 9 for at least 1 month, unless somebody wants to open it up and revisit it again, we'll just leave it at 9 and see what happens next month. And when everybody's snowed in, including the board members. Or I have to call Wade really early to plow me out, I don't know. Is that okay with everyone?
Mrs. Terry, I'd just like to make a
This is public
suggestion
comment.
that,
Public comment.
that's exactly my suggestion, is public comment that
Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? That's it. We have a motion on the table that's been seconded by, I forgot which board member, that we recess the meeting and go into closed session. All in favor say aye. Oh, for pending litigation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. It is 12:48 hours on January 11th, 2014. The Cedar Mountain Fire Protection Administrative Control Board is going to recess the meeting in order to go into closed session.